In this video, I will share with you several ideas for altering chipboard. I have a chipboard set of pieces from Maya Road. They have several Halloween and fall pieces, and the first one we're going to do is a tree. So I'm going to start out by making a tree top, and the set actually comes with tree tops. They come with a little shape that looks like a cloud almost, but I liked having a perfect circle. We'll use this one later, but if you wanted a way to make your chipboard go further, you could use that other piece and make it into a cloud or something like that. So for this first piece, I'm going to get out an ink pad. This is an Adirondack ink from Ranger, the pitch black, and I'm going to set it right into the ink pad so that it can soak up all the ink. My fingertips are going to get a little messy, and that's okay. I'm just taking a pair of tweezers and getting it out there. I see I missed some, so I'm just going to reapply. Okay, let's see how that looks. That looks good to me. There's some of the chipboard showing through, excuse me, but this is a Halloween tree and I don't mind that. So I'm going to apply some adhesive to this. Normally I would use glue dots, but I don't have them within reach here, so I'm just going to use this adhesive real quick. I'm going to apply it to my tree. I got a little bit of ink on my tree, so I'm just going to cover that up. The Adirondack ink pads is a dye pad, and I remember dye as dry because it dries quickly. And actually, I'm just remembering that I want to sand this. I'm using the Tim Holtz sanding grip. Sanding the edges because I just like to give the tree top a little bit more definition, and it gives it more of that distressed look also. Okay, and the last thing I want to do to embellish this tree is I'm going to add some buttons from Doodlebug. These are from the Boutique buttons, and I've got some quick dry adhesive from Helmer glue, and so I'm just going to apply that on there. I've added the buttons and I like the way that looks, so I'm going to move on to a second way of embellishing chipboard. The second way I'm going to alter this chipboard is with Martha Stewart glitter glue. I've got a raw piece of chipboard here in the shape of a cat silhouette, and I've inked it up with black ink and using the same technique I used with the first one. And I'm just going to apply this glue. It has glitter in it, and it's a really simple, but it's an effective and stunning way to embellish the chipboard. And I recommend just making little dots and then picking it right back up. I'm doing it this way because I like the dimension, but you could certainly dot this on and then spread it with a paintbrush, or kind of spread it out with a tissue or something like that, and which is actually the third technique I'm going to share with you. So I would cover this black cat and then let it dry for several minutes. Because it is so dimensional, it will take a little while to dry, but then in the end you'll have a very sparkly and stunning cat. For this next technique, I'm using the Ranger Adirondack acrylic paint daubers, and I've actually taken off the dauber. It comes with this sponge-like dot on the top where you could just dab the paint right on your project. I'm just going to use a brush and the paint and dip it right in there, and then cover the entire piece of chipboard with this pool blue color. I think that's what they call it. Yep, pool. I like bringing in this blue with the fall color scheme because it's a refreshing color in the mix. So I'm going to let this dry. Now that the paint is dry on this leaf, I'm going to embellish it with glitter. And one happy accident I stumbled upon was I started to make these dots on this leaf, and I rubbed a tissue over it and then had this really sparkly, pretty result. So what you do is just put the dots on first, and then just take your tissue and then just rub it around. And the more dots you add, the more sparkly it will be. That way you're not applying that thick dimension that I showed in the first, I think it was the second chipboard piece, but you're still getting quite a lot of glitter, and you don't have to mess with applying glue and then shaking it off and then cleaning up the glitter. So that is one way to get a glittered leaf. Another way to embellish chipboard is to use washi tape. You've seen us use washi tape a lot in this series, as it's quickly become one of our favorites. And as I'm putting this on, I'm seeing my hands have gotten quite messy. So I'm sorry you have to look at them, but I'm confident you understand. Being creative goes that way sometimes. Okay, so I'm just covering it with this Sweet Bella polka dotted orange tape, if I can find the end here. I like keeping the underside this raw chipboard color, but if you wanted to change the color of it, you certainly could. And I like layering over it because the dots then aren't perfect. There's some overlapping each other, and I like the way that looks. I'm going to combine the embellished pumpkin from tape. I'm going to also put some flowers on it. These are Whimsies from Webster's Pages, and I want to make this pumpkin a little pretty, so I'm going to put some of this, more of this Helmer quick drying glue. Would help if I took the cap off, wouldn't it? Could also use a glue dot or hot glue gun. This is just what I happen to have right here, and it's very durable. Gets the job done. Okay, I really like the way it's looking. I think it looks very feminine and pretty. I'm going to add a little bit more of a feminine touch with this Martha Stewart glitter. I add that to the stem here and let it dry. I also made a more neutral pumpkin with neutrals, browns, creams, and a green top on my pumpkin. So a couple options for you. One mess-free way to alter chipboard is with stickers. I'm going to use the craft border stickers from Studio Calico and apply these right on top of the raw chipboard piece. I'm just going to tear off the edges, and I'm going to go back through and modify them. Okay, now I've put strips on the pumpkin, and I've got these rough edges around the outside. I'm just going to take my Tim Holtz sanding grip here and apply it to the edges. Okay, I want to create a pumpkin that would be good for the front of a card, so I'm just going to use some other stickers here from American Crafts. They are 2 chipboard stickers from their recent fall and Halloween line. I'm going to put that right on the front, and then our pumpkin needs a stump. So I have this scrap piece of Fab Rips from Studio Calico, and the Fab Rips are awesome because they're really fun to use. They're like fabric. You can rip them and tear them easily. And I'm going to apply that to the top there. One last way to alter chipboard is using Distress Crackle Paint from Tim Holtz and Ranger. I have the Antiqued Bronze. So what this crackle paint does is it's going to give a crackle effect just in one step. Just by applying the paint to it and letting it dry for a little bit, it's going to crackle on its own. Depending on the effect that you want, if you want a lot of deep cracks, you'll want to apply it pretty heavily. If you want small to medium cracks, you'll just want to apply a thin layer. One thing to note is that if you're using a metallic crackle paint, it will take longer than the normal crackle paint. So just allow it that extra time. And then the one tip that I have for putting this on is just to kind of use the shapes, the lines of the shapes. So with my acorn, I used it kind of in a swooping motion around the rounded edges. With this, I'm just applying it, the curves as necessary. So let it dry, have fun, and you'll be excited to see the results. That's it for altering chipboard. Thanks for joining me today and for watching.